If that performance wasn't enough to get Brian Callahan fired, then I don't know what will, because the Tennessee Titans are an absolute nightmare. That and more on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's Misery Monday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward Mazda Moment of the Week. It's Mazda Move and Be Moved. Quite honestly, the Titans rarely pull off the unexpected. They get the fluky win against the Cardinals last week, but I tried to remind you all that this team is awful. They have the worst coach in the NFL, maybe the worst coach in NFL history, and that things weren't going to get better. And what do? They come out there and they look like an outright disaster against the Las Vegas Raiders. Enough has to be enough at this point to get Brian Callahan fired. It is one of the scariest, spookiest times ever to be a Tennessee Titans fan, because everything is a disaster, including Cam Ward. And not only that, but the Titans truly wasted some pretty good performances out there that we'll get into. But before I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday. Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. But simply put, this team is an outright disaster, and Brian Callahan has to be fired now. Like, what else do you need to see? What else has to happen? I continue to ask the question. Look, peek behind the curtain. I'm supposed to lead with my take, not a question. You guys know the questions. I'm supposed to give you my strong opinion, but my strong opinion is a question. When is enough enough? When is enough enough? How much more of Brian Callahan's football team do we have to see before this clown will be fired? It's October. I get it. It's a big month for clowns. Maybe they're just trying to look out for Bozo Callahan and keep him employed during a big month for clowns. But quite frankly, again, how much is too much? When is enough enough? How much more do we have to see before we get rid of this cancer that is eating us all alive? It's unbelievable to me. And again, the big thing is, I'm watching a Brian Callahan football team every Sunday. Not only that, but the Indianapolis Colts are the number one seed in the AFC with Daniel Jones at quarterback. The Jacksonville Jaguars lost, but they're a competitive football team that just beat the Chiefs in primetime. The Titans got the Texans right. The Texans bounced back with 2 wins. You know that they're going to come back and be a competitive team this year. Not only that, but you want more salt in the wound? I'm Salt Bay right now. You want more salt in the wound? Mike Vrabel has his team at 4-2, and they're coming to Nissan Stadium next week to drop 30 effing points on the Titans. They are going to beat the Titans by 40. Drake May looks like an MVP candidate. Like, how much worse could this get? Like, I cannot recall a more devastating, horrifying, murderous time to be a Tennessee Titans fan. Like, it is an outright disaster. Everything across the board. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., the Jets suck. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. went to a different team and still can't get a win. But, I mean, he's out there forcing fumbles, making tackles in big moments. You gave him away for peanuts. To move up 30 picks on day 3, you gave away a young, cheap, productive starting corner that was a dog. And again, that is a very minuscule detail in the outright collapse of the Tennessee Titans organization. You know, I hate to be so nostalgic, but at times like this, it's like I can't help but screw this game. Screw the game. The Titans got drubbed by double digits against one of the bottom 5 teams in the NFL. The Raiders suck. The Raiders are a terrible football team. They are awful. Max Crosby is good. Ashton Genty is good. Geno Smith is a disgrace right now. That offensive line is terrible. They made Jihad Ward look like TJ Watt for most of the game. The Raiders suck, so I don't really care about this game. But just think about just a few short years ago, 4 years ago, we were in the midst of getting the number 1 seed in the AFC with Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Mike Vrabel at coach. Beating teams we shouldn't beat, upsetting people, knowing that we would compete every week. And look at where we are now, in the gutter. I said it. I wanted to live on some positivity after a win. But this is the worst football team in the NFL still. That was the flukiest of fluke wins. And again, I just don't know. I don't know how much more Brian Callahan has to do before he gets fired. What are we doing here? Here's the only theory I have. The only theory that I could possibly give you to justify Brian Callahan keeping his job is that Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker tanked this season long ago. They said, we are going to suck. We are going to be awful. This roster is terrible. This coach is a bozo, and we need to secure the number 1 pick once again. That is the only theory I have for the potential that they could keep Brian Callahan after what we've seen. How much more do you have to see? Again, when is enough enough? This is a disaster. This is a nightmare. This is the worst experience on a Sunday. And not just this week. I mean, the entire season so far. We're a third of the way through the season. The Tennessee Titans experience has never been this bad ever before. Ever. Period. It has never, in 26 years, what is it, 1996, 1997, they moved and they played in Memphis for a while. Since the franchise came to Tennessee, it has never been this bad. It has never been this bad. The lack of hope, the lack of talent, the lack of coaching, the performances on a week-to-week basis. It has never been this bad ever before. We are truly in a Tennessee Titans nightmare. This is a Tennessee Titans night terror is what we are dealing with right now. It has never been this bad, this despicable, this small amount of hope to be a Tennessee Titans fan in my entire life. And I've liked the team since they moved to Tennessee. It's never been this bad. The Wisenhunt years were not this bad. They were not this bad. And if that isn't enough, if that is not enough to do something, fire this bozo and get him out of our lives. Even if the team doesn't win another game the rest of the year, you must do something. And you got Titans ticket reps chirping back at Titans fans. The fan base is very happy with this team right now. This organization is entirely lost. From the football side to the business side, from the janitor all the way up to the owner. Every single person involved in this organization is lost in the sauce right now. And you know what? That's the big picture take. You want to get down to the nitty-gritty of the roster and the players, things don't get much better. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Mizzen and Main. You know the saying, look good, feel good. The problem is most dress clothes only check one of those boxes. They look sharp, but they feel stiff, hot, and high maintenance. That's why there's Mizzen and Main. Mizzen and Main makes classic menswear with performance fabrics, so it's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They've actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and they perfected it ever since. I love Mizzen and Main. For me, it's hard to find dress clothes that fit well and that are comfortable, but Mizzen and Main has shirts that are stretchy, moisture wicking, wrinkle resistant, and machine washable, so no ironing and no dry cleaning. Right now, Mizzen and Main is offering my listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizenandmain.com with promo code LOCKEDONNFL20. That's Mizzen, spelled M-I-Z-Z-E-N, and Main, M-A-I-N.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL20 for 20% off. If you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen and Main stores in select states. Today's episode is also brought to you by Mazda. It's time for Mazda's Moving the Game Forward moment of the week. And for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move cultures, and they keep the game moving forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Jeffery Simmons' performance against the Raiders. I mean, he continues to be an absolute animal out there. Defensive Player of the Year. The Titans are absolutely wasting his efforts every single week, but Big Jeff has definitely moved his game forward, and when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning, and just like there's more to every highlight from Jeffery Simmons, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, breaking down that despicable loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, 20-10, but we all know it was not that close. It was nowhere near as close as 20-10 because the Titans get a garbage time touchdown out there. A little Freudian slip there as I get ready to talk about this pathetic offensive line. But do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first listen. Quite frankly, guys, it can't get much worse than this. Actually, that's an absolute lie. I can't lie to you guys. When Mike Vrabel comes into Nissan Stadium next week, Cam Ward gets sacked 7 times, looks like an absolute bust, and the Titans lose by 30, and Brian Callahan still isn't fired, that will be worse than this. 100% will be worse. But I got to tell you, we talk about the big picture stuff, but drilling down onto the actual football field doesn't make me feel any better, because what might be the most despicable part of the Brian Callahan experience is what he's doing to Cam Ward. I mean, he is making Cam Ward look like the worst number 1 overall pick in the history of football. That's what he looks like right now. If you look at the advanced data, you look at the numbers, you look at the box score, you look at the tape, you look at whatever, Cam Ward looks like the worst number 1 overall pick of all time right now. Do I think that he is? No, I do not. I do not think that. I think Cam Ward is a good football player. I think he's a rookie quarterback who's going to have his struggles, but Cam Ward is nowhere near as bad as Brian Callahan is making him look. And look, I said it online. I'm going to say it here. I've been saying it for weeks. I don't understand. Brian Callahan knows more about football than me, okay? Period. But I don't understand how you can look at what Cam Ward had success with in college and how you can lie in the press conference. I got into some arguments. Me getting in arguments online? No way. Unbelievable, right? But I got into some arguments with some folks saying, the Titans offense is going to change. They said it. We're going to see. One specific guy named Brandon was like, you'll see. Oh, what'd you see? Did you see the Titans change the offense? Was there more RPO? Was there more play action? Was there more up-tempo? Was there more no huddle? Was there more deep shots? No. You know what there was more of? Stupid screens that don't work, predictable runs in predictable situations. Brian Callahan will never change. He will never change. He will never adapt to his talent. He will never do what his quarterback is actually good at. He just wants to run his own thing. And I forget who said it to me, but somebody said to me online, people are going to start to notice that Brian Callahan has just as big of an arrogant, stubborn ego as Mike Vrabel, just with a nicer personality. We saw it last year with Will Levis. What does Will Levis do well? Play action, shots downfield. What did Brian Callahan try to make him do? 2-man West Coast concepts, quick screens, slow developing run plays. How many times are we going to run the power sweep with the front side guard and the center pulling out. They get stopped 5 yards in the backfield. The Titans are down by 17 points. It's 3rd and 1, and you run a quick screen to the 34-year-old corpse of Tyler Lockett? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm getting a migraine. I literally am getting a migraine. If I have an aneurysm on screen, someone call the cops. Someone call the ambulance for me. Because thinking back to the game plan for Brian Callahan, it just blows my mind. Where is the RPO? Where is the designed rollouts in the pocket movement? Where is the play action game? The Titans ran like 3 play action passes. I complained last week that it went from 23% to 19%. It can't possibly go down. It's going to be less. It's going to be less. Disgraceful. Callahan will never change. He cannot pair his offense to his talent. He simply cannot do it. He is incapable of doing it. And it is making Cam Ward look like a disgrace as well. Now, is Cam Ward playing well? No. We have to be honest. Cam Ward is not taking advantage of opportunities that are there either. But there's not that many opportunities that are there for him to take advantage of either. Tyler Lockett, who is a corpse, again, the corpse of Tyler Lockett, get him off the field. Van Jefferson, who is a special teams only player at this point. Alec Iomanner, who is a 4th-round rookie, who's a developmental project. That's the wide receiver trio once Calvin Ridley's out of the game. Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson, and Alec Iomanner. That might be the worst wide receiver trio of the past decade in the NFL. Disaster. Who's open? Who's getting open out of that group? Who threatens the defense out of that group? The answer is nobody. All right? And then the offensive line, what a disgrace, man. We know that Max Crosby is awesome. All right, you got it. Max Crosby is awesome. But J.C. Latham looks like a fraud. First came back from injury, hasn't played, goes against Max Crosby. That's tough, but he got whooped. That's a top 10 pick. Look at how Joe Alt played when he was in the game. Look at how J.C. Latham plays. Look at Armand Membu this year. Like, the Titans got scammed by the Callahans. You're telling, and there are people out there, Titans reporters, who said that Bill Callahan liked J.C. Latham more than Joe Alt. There are Titans reporters who act like they're so much better than me because they're on the beat, who tried to say that if you think Joe Alt is a class above all the other offensive tackles, you're a moron. You don't know anything about football. Ooh, man, who? It's a good thing that I have tried to turn a new leaf and don't bring up those old tweets. Yikes, like everybody does to me. Whenever I get anything wrong, every single other person in the Titans media complex likes to tell me I got it wrong. But when I see all these other stupid tweets from these other people, I try to be the bigger person. You know what I mean? But if Bill Callahan truly thought J.C. Latham was better than Joe Alt, then kick him to the curb too. What an idiot. This offensive line gave up 6 sacks. They couldn't run block to save their lives against a terrible, and I don't care what a Raiders fan has to say, your team sucks. The Titans suck worse. The Titans suck worse. All right? You got me. You got me. But for the Titans to give up 6 sacks, and the way that they happened too, the 4th sack of the game, where Kevin Zeitler and Lloyd Cushenberry both blocked nobody, and the Raiders just brought a 4-man rush and sacked Cam Ward in a millisecond. That's coaching. These guys have no clue what they're doing. The Titans could have 5 Hall of Famers on the offensive line, and they'd give up 5 sacks a game because the coaching is a disgrace. And the Titans have bad wide receivers. Don't get me wrong. But I see other teams with bad wide receivers who are getting guys open. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers last week played with like UAB's wide receiver group. And there were people wide open. They made Kyle Shanahan made Kendrick Bourne look like Jerry Rice because he can scheme guys open. So Cam Ward looks awful. He looks terrible by any metric, by any number that you want to look at. But quite frankly, with the worst head coach, or at least the second worst, maybe Urban Meyer, sure. But with the worst head coach in the last 25 years in the NFL, the worst wide receiver trio out on the field today in the last 10 years in the NFL, and this disgraceful offensive line, I don't know what you want a young rookie quarterback to do. But again, out of all of the terrible things and all of the disgraceful things that Brian Callahan has done as the head coach of the Titans, making Cam Ward look as bad as he looks is probably the number one thing that's going to end up getting him fired. And it better be now. I even said a couple of weeks ago, I said the Titans will probably wait to fire Brian Callahan to get that fired coach bump for the Vrabel game. And here we are. It better happen, man. It better happen. This bozo better be gone. And the worst thing is, there were some good things that happened in this game. There were some great performances in this game, and they are absolutely wasted, and no one's going to care. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair job, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. You need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on the job where every detail matters. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. Once again, that's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. All you got to do, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel, whether it's player props, money lines, spreads, over-unders, or combining all that stuff into a same-game parlay. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. And boy, do I love betting on the Titans to punt. Man, it is lucrative. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. And Titans fans know it could be a lot better than what it is. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, that's FanDuel.com. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Again, the Tennessee Titans lose 20-10 to the Las Vegas Raiders. The score was honestly much closer than what the game was. If you watch the game, it was not that close. It was an absolute beatdown. A terrible football team beating down an even worse football team. And again, I posed the question. If this isn't enough to get Brian Callahan fired, then what is? What could possibly be enough to get this man fired if this isn't enough? Because this is the worst moment to be a Tennessee Titans fan of my life. I cannot think of a more desolate, dystopian, disgraceful. I keep coming back to disgraceful because that's how I feel. I am disgraced to be a Tennessee Titans fan right now. The worst coach in the NFL, making Cam Ward look like the worst quarterback in the NFL, potentially the worst roster in the NFL. Nothing is good. There's nothing even to be excited about. And they are just despicable every single Sunday. And they get that fluky comeback on the Cardinals, and some people believe, and, maybe it made the people the scariest thing is if the people in the building thought that would turn something around. If Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, Amy Adams Strunk thought that would turn something around, if they're that stupid to think that game was some light bulb moment. I got on here on Wednesday's show, my third show of the week. I told you, this is not a light bulb moment. This team sucks. This head coach is a disgrace. This is not a flip the switch, turn the season around game. They're going to come out and lose again. And that's exactly what they did. And it wasn't even as close as I thought it could be. I had it 20-16, and the Raiders won 20-10. 3 points. And again, what makes it even worse, and you got to be honest, the Jags are competitive. The Colts are number one in the AFC. The Texans are back to being competitive. Mike Vrabel's 4-2 and making Drake May look like an MVP. Like, that stuff makes it even worse. And now Mike Vrabel is about to come to Tennessee. Boys and girls, it is going to be ugly next weekend. And that will be rock bottom. But if the Titans are smart, they're going to look even dumber if they fire Brian Callahan after he gets body slammed by Mike Vrabel. Like, that's going to make them look even worse public relations-wise. The optics, right? It's going to look even worse for you and be even more embarrassing if you fire Brian Callahan after he gets smoked by the guy you let go. They need to do it now. And the thing is, I talk about where everything is bad on the roster. Jeffery Simmons, once again, was absolutely dominant against the run in the pass game. Jeffery Simmons is the defensive player of the year, and no one's going to care because this team sucks. The guy all of you guys gave up on after 5 games, Femi Oladejo, had his best game as a Titan. He had multiple pressures. He had multiple tackles for loss. He finally looked like he had his balance. And then he gets hurt. Calvin Ridley, the only good wide receiver on the football team. There's one. It's him. Hurt early. And if you wanted to trade Calvin Ridley, well, now he's hurt. Let's hope that they just sat him out because they are going to trade him. And he could have played. And they just didn't do it because they're going to get ready to trade him. Let's hope that that's the case. Like, it's just Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears looked explosive. 5 carries, 31 yards. Caught 4 catches, 19 yards. Tajay Spears looked explosive. No doubt about it. I know the offensive line was absolutely terrible, but Peter Skoronski continues to look like an all-pro. Him and Jeffery Simmons. They're by far the best players on the team. It's not even close. No one else is anywhere even close to that, to Pete and Jeff. Nowhere even close. And, I mean, again, Chim Dike, been a pretty good returner. The special teams, there were a couple of decent returns for the Raiders today, but I thought that was on Johnny Hekker. Johnny Hekker did not have a good day. But, there are some good things in here. And when the Titans let Cam Ward play with a little bit of tempo, and at the end of the game when they're trying to come back, he makes some throws, and it's like, there he is. That's what we wanted to see. He's got it in him. So there is some good stuff in there. But nothing matters as long as the Titans have this cloud hanging above them that is Brian Callahan. Bozo Clownahan. Ruining our October. Ruining our season. And I've gone through the numbers A couple of weeks ago, I went through the numbers. You fire your head coach when they're as bad as Brian Callahan is before week 8, and your team ends up doing a lot better. So again, the only theory that I have that could lead to Brian Callahan keeping his job is if the Titans are truly tanking the season and they plan to tank the season all along. So, oh man. I got to tell you guys, I'm running out of ways to say that this team sucks and Brian Callahan needs to be fired. How many different weeks, how many different episodes, how many different days, how many different ways can I get on this show and tell you this coach is an absolute moron? And there's no hope for not even wins, improvement. Isn't that what any logical Tennessee Titans fan that you talk to or heard from would say? I don't know how many games they're going to win, but I just want to see them improve. They've done the opposite. They've regressed. They're even worse this year than they were last year. So, when is enough enough? I'm looking at you, Amy. When is enough enough? It's a disaster. Spookiest of spooky seasons I can ever remember being a Tennessee Titans fan. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.